online. Walter?
Hi Coach, the team seemed to be in the game in the first 50 minutes or so, but then the Bulls pulled away and scored a big victory. But there are still some positives that you can take out of the match. What are they?
Yes, well, incredible positives. We've got a bit of adversity to the union. We've got a spate of injuries, like I mentioned in the pre-match conference. We've pulled 7 Varsity Cup players who played on Monday, minimal playing time. Some of them have played, I think 4 or 5 of them have played 80 minutes. They played another 80 minutes this week. And to give them Currie Cup caps is I feel it's special for me because some of them have come through our ranks. Our supporters won't like the result, but geez, to ask for, I can't ask for a bigger effort. And I think it puts into context what the Bulls URC team have done in playing, those consecutive games, 4 consecutive games with the same squad. These little kids have done that, and geez, what an achievement for them. The scoreboard doesn't say that, but incredible.
Are there any individual performances that you wanted to highlight?
It's difficult when you've taken 40 points to highlight individual performances, but I think a guy like Lyndon Musana who fought, he had a game for Wits. He won by 50, played 80 minutes. I think he made something like 16 tackles to come out here, play against a really organised team who were also desperate to show their director of rugby that they can play rugby, and to man up like that was impressive. A guy like Conor van Buren, outstanding. I don't think he's 21 yet. 3 months ago he was winning the under-20 comp as an uncontracted player for the Lions. Now he's playing Varsity Cup at UJ trying to get a qualification. So that for me is a highlight. But like I said, we'll take criticism for the scoreboard, but you know what, we've got to play the cards that we dealt.
Thank you, Walter. Our team online, we'll start with Carlos, your hands up, and then we'll go to Jan. Carl?
Sorry, no, my hand's not supposed to be up. I do apologize.
All right then. Jan, let's go.
Thanks. I thought Carl fell asleep there. I think the Lions are putting him to sleep.
I don't blame him.
Guys, all jokes aside, you touch on the positives, the many injuries you guys have got, and the youngsters, the Varsity Cup guys that are coming through. And I know it's probably not, you touch on the 40 points, and we know you're conceding an average of 50 points a game and 7 tries a game. But are some of these guys beginning to put up their hands, especially the Varsity Cup guys, to perhaps get more regular spots? Is there perhaps a long-term picture that you can see, or a long-term positive picture that the average guy on the street won't see?
That was Jan, eh?
Yeah.
Jan, 100%. At one stage we had what we potentially would see what under 21 team would look like. I think tight head, hooker, lock, 7 flank, 9, both wings. Those hooks ought to be in the under 21 Currie Cup team. That starts in August. So obviously that's a hell of a thing to expose those guys to this level. In terms of the Varsity Cup guys putting their hands up, most of them, they come through the system. Cal Schmidt captained the Lions to a semi-final, as an under-19. I think I was the head coach then as an under-21. After COVID, I think 2020, he was captain under-21s to the final. We lost to the Bulls. So those are in our systems. The challenge for us is that both universities are obviously fighting their own campaigns. It's a relegation year, so it's a precarious position that we find ourselves in as a union. But I must at the outset say to Yugo Fanas, Jonathan Mokwena, grateful for them for their assistance. It's a really good tripartite agreement that we have, and I've got no doubt the guys like Ilunga, who's really talented, at the very least, you'll pick up their signatures if someone else doesn't pick up their signatures.
Thanks, Jan. Carl, are you back?
Yeah, not to sleep this time. Yeah, sorry. Mziwakhe, it's nice to give an opportunity for a Varsity Cup player and that kind of stuff, and I really take my hat off for you guys. But I think we must be honest to ourselves and admit, I mean, that varsity cup team, and I'm sure Carl Smith played when they played against the Bulls under 20 squad, and they took 40 points against them. So is it really developing these guys, or on? Yeah, it's difficult. I know you guys are trying to get exposure and everything to the guys, but is it really worth your while giving exposure if they're not even good enough to beat the Bulls?
I'm confused. Carl, which game are you talking about?
They played a preparation game against the Bulls under 20 just at the beginning of the season. That's...
Sorry, Carl, sorry man. Oh, you're talking about, Carl, I don't know too much about, not that I don't know too much, but I mean, won't read too much into that. But the Bulls are a good team and they're running a really good system. In the absence of not playing youngsters, Carl, I'm not sure who else was going to play for the Lions.
You don't look too much out of shape.
No, so Carl, but okay, I'm being facetious. But the point that I'm making is that, I mean, we spoke about it earlier in earlier games. The fact that the URC team has got 520 players who ought to be playing here. So if their progression is probably a bit earlier than what we want to do, but that's the job of that's our job, is to make sure that their team is full. Having said that, if that's all that's available at the union, we have to play the youngsters. Other than that, obviously we'd have to get into the market and go and procure some more players. But that's not necessarily my department. My department is to make sure that their players are equipped, like Ron Fenter, like Kieran Horn, like Sbu Samweni, and so I can list them. I mean, so yeah, I think to say we mustn't play them, I'm not sure who else will play.
No, I never said we mustn't play them, and really my hats off for giving those guys an opportunity. But yeah, it's difficult. But yeah, hats off to the Lions giving those guys an opportunity.
Thanks for that, Carl. Jan, do you want to call it a day for us, please?
Yes, please, Larson. Coach, I know, and perhaps it's difficult to put a positive spin on the HME. I mean, like we said, you lose by an average, you concede an average of 50 points in 7 tries a game. But if you have to say to the fans out there, and there's lots of criticism, maybe most of it justified, but if you have something to say to the fans, what would you tell them about this team that maybe will give them some hope?
Look, Carla, number one, the criticism is justified. Sorry, Jan, the criticism is justified. The people who support, and if you don't get results, then I think you deserve the criticism. So that's first things first. You can't run away from that. But what I can say to them is, it's not so long ago that the Lions couldn't buy a win. I think back to the Oak is a Bok coach now, so it's the brain. Jan Ackerman couldn't buy a win. 2014, 2013 couldn't buy a win. 2012 couldn't buy a win. I think in 2010 Super Rugby lost all their games. And if we as a franchise can keep these players together, I think in 2 or 3 years' time we can do something. I use the Greek was as an example. Albert van der Berg, Scott Matthew couldn't buy a win for 2 seasons. I think they went 13 games on the trot without winning. They made a semi-final last year, and all those players have gone to other unions. Albert van der Berg's got a job here, Scott Matthew's got a job in the USA. So what I want to say to the supporters in a nutshell is that this is obviously a long process. The criticism, we understand it, and it's justified, but unfortunately rugby's got its crests and troughs, and we cannot rush this process unless we go and buy a team full of Springboks, which I don't think is going to happen either. So all we can ask for is that they can hold us accountable to playing tough and being tough to beat. But we've got all the faith in Ron Fenton and Kieran Horn, and that those Oaks in a couple of years' time are going to be serious contenders.
Thanks very much, Jan. Thanks, folks. I think we'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much for your time, and good night.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Thank you.